Alaskans, wherever you are, welcome to the Must Read Alaska Show. Coming to you from somewhere in Alaska. This is the place where we talk about, you guessed it, Alaska. Where we keep the mainstream media on their toes and where we are standing up for what's right in a world run by leftists. You can find out more by heading over to mustreadalaska.com and also checking out the Must Read Alaska YouTube channel for some really great content. But first, let's get this party started.
Welcome, everybody, to the Must Read Alaska Show. I'm your host, John Quick, coming to you live from somewhere in Alaska. Hope everybody is having a phenomenal day today. Man, it is turning winter before our very own eyes. It's getting cold out there, so make sure you bundle up, folks, and stay safe. We have a big storm coming here to Alaska. It's the equivalent of a big old tropical storm. Like normal, didn't make any news. We're just kind of used to it here in Alaska. So if you want to help support Must Read Alaska, just go to mustreadalaska.com. On the right-hand side, there's a little donate button. Every $5, $10, $100 helps keep the lights on here at Must Read Alaska. If you want to sponsor the Must Read Alaska show, just email me, John, John, at mustreadalaska.com. We have a very special guest today, probably the most famous professional athlete that has come from Alaska, Scotty Gomez. Welcome to the Must Read Alaska show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Well, this will be fun. I'd love to hear, kind of take me way, way back and tell me about what got you into hockey in the first place. You had a very long career, but what first sparked that interest for you back when you were a kid?
My dad was from San Diego. He was a big San Diego Gulls. He enjoyed hockey, and when we were up in the state of Alaska, my dad took me to a UA hockey game. I think I was 4 years old, and my dad took me to a game, and I completely just wanted to try it. And back then, the Boys and Girls Club, they would help kids play, so they'd give out gear. I think all you needed was your skates, gloves, and helmets, and the Boys and Girls Club provided the rest. And that's basically how it started. I went one Saturday morning, stood in line, got my stuff. It's been told a thousand times, but I hated hockey. I didn't want to play it. I didn't like it, and I told my mom and everything that I was getting made fun of, teased, and of course she was going to let me quit right away. And then my dad didn't let me quit. He said I had to finish out the year, and he gave me some story about how Gomez's don't quit and all this. And years later, the truth was he bought me a brand new pair of skates, and he wasn't going to let the money go to waste. That's for sure. So that's basically how I started. I stayed in the sport, and then it became pretty soon after that it became just an addiction, the love of my life. I mean, it was just couldn't get enough. But thank God for those new skates, because probably I wouldn't be on the show right now. Let's put it that way.
So when was it when you thought, man, like, I'm really good at this, I could make something of this, maybe I could go to college, maybe I could go play in Canada? When was that moment for you where you're like, man, I'm a little different than most of the people here skating?
It's hard to say, because of the fact that all my close friends, we were all addicted to it. We all were in love with the sport. Yeah, but it was different now with these kids. They just play, basically growing up with one sport, where we in the summertime we didn't even leave the ball field. We were always on the baseball field playing basketball, tennis, any sport we played. We were addicted. But hockey, it took over our lives. Me and my close friends and the guys that I was grew up with. And back then the goal was to get a college scholarship. Maybe it was to play for the Seawolves, or as you got older, it was definitely to play college. We didn't have and the NHL was that's just a fantasy, but to get a college scholarship was the goal. And you take it for granted, because you're just with your friends and your buddies, and you don't you're kind of all the same. You're kind of all dreaming the same. Then when the games start, it's a little different, I guess. Maybe I'm doing stuff a little different out there. And then I think you just get to the point where, the outside world starts chiming in. And I'd say around 11, maybe younger, around 11, maybe that's up to debate for people. But I think around 11, I kind of knew that, that I was going to go to, like, I was probably going to go if things kept going, and college was kind of in the bag. And I don't want to sound, cocky or anything. Just it was kind of one of those things where, unless something really bad happens, or if I just completely don't getting better, um, because I guess maybe I was that far ahead at that point. So for people to catch up, I mean, this is a guy explained this to me one time, but a college coach. But yeah, it was pretty. And like I said, when we got to high school, a couple of my close friends that they were great hockey players, that they were really good. We were all on a team together, and I think we were skating East 20th, or the ice was being used at East 20th. We ended up going to Handshoe, our service, and I know I'm from the East Side, so I never had to go skate anywhere else. But and why I remember that is because that's when two of my friends told me that, like, they kind of told me how much better I was than everyone else, and that was coming from your close friends, where you kind of knew it, but to hear it from your really close friends that you like, Scott, you're on a different level, like you are completely on a different level than the rest of us, and I guess but it was just, it was so much fun and love that with all of us, that we were just buddies, all of us. It was no one was
Yeah.
jealous, or I'm sure some of the parents were, but no one was jealous. It was just we were buddies, and this is what we did. We grew up playing together. We all of us basically are still great friends, and so that was you know I guess to answer the question, probably 10 or 11 or younger, maybe.
Nice. So I'm curious your thoughts. Today's day and age, um, kids get participation trophies, and you get first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th. And when I was a kid, if you're second, that was if you ain't first, you're last. Ricky Bobby, Talladega Nights. What do you think that's a detriment to kids' sports these days, where it's almost an emphasis on like everybody wins, when in actuality it's like, no, you're either first or not? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's the worst thing ever. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to understand what competition is. You have to understand that everything's not given to you. You do strive for something. You do work. If you are better than someone, it's probably because you put the work in, and it's not just because you're an equal, or team wise. Where Yeah, I disagree with it. I mean, I'm from the same era. But and that's one thing I told my players right away. I didn't get a participation trophy, so I don't really care. It's either first, it's either first or second, and that's the way it is. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we come from an era where hey, that's doesn't mean you're doing something bad. It means you outworked them. You did something better. Maybe the teams are even, but you guys committed to the you committed less mistakes. You stuck with the game plan. You were more disciplined. I mean, yeah, that all falls into play, instead of this where, yeah, you just show up, good job. You're as equal as the other guy. No, you're not. No, you're not. It's who puts the hard work in, who has the discipline, who understands what discipline is about, and it boils down to that. But yeah, so no, and I deal with these kids. They're used to that, but once you set the tone pretty quick, that this is junior hockey. You're here for a reason. You're here to
Yeah.
move on. You're here to do your dreams. But it's my job to get you out of here as quick as possible. But if you want to put in the work, hey, we'll do our part. But mommy and daddy ain't here anymore. You don't need you're not always going to get a pat on the back because why you showed up. No, I mean, hey, when we get on the ice, it's business. This is your job. This is your livelihood. When we get off the ice, it's over with. Like, meaning, hey, I had coaches that didn't like you on the ice and they didn't like you off the ice, and that there's nothing worse. I mean, hey, when business is on the ice, when you're off the ice, it's nothing but love and stuff, because you're here for a reason. But yeah, you ain't getting a participation trophy. Not in this class, I guess.
Nice. So take me back to the moment you got to experience something that not very few Alaskans have been able to experience, and that's getting the call or getting drafted, getting pulled up to professional sports. Take me back to that moment when you got that call or realized I'm going to go play professional sports in the NHL. What was it like?
Um, well, I mean, when you keep moving up, and where I'm sitting right now in my office, this was where I was here 29 years ago at 16 to get a college scholarship, and my coaches, and which are still great friends today, they help me out all the time. I'm in my billets, the people I live with, they kind of sabotaged my college career. Meaning, I went and ended up going major junior because when I came here to Canada, um, you either go to college or you go to this thing major junior, and major juniors get you to the NHL quicker, faster. It was a faster route back then, and yeah, I didn't. It was kind of not an eye opener, but it was kind of it was time for reality for me and my parents. Like, hey, Scott's good enough to play in the NHL. Like he's going to play in the NHL, and you kind of something maybe you always been fighting away. At least my parents didn't want me to ever get a big head or or whatever it was. And then yeah, it's I'm going to get drafted. I get drafted. I was pretty high rated in the draft, and I got hurt when I went major junior. So I went down in the draft. I was last pick in the first round. So, maybe many people didn't, especially the organization I was going to with the New Jersey Devils, where they were a powerhouse. So I wasn't expected. I know the guys and stuff didn't expect anything because I was one of the last picks in the first, and usually guys in that system didn't pan out. But I went to my first training camp at 18 years old, and I knew right then and there I was going to play in the NHL because I'm playing against the best players in the world.
You're being able to hold your own in there, probably.
And it was and I was telling some of my players yesterday, and unless you played, it's not cocky. It's not. It was actually easier playing in the NHL than it was anywhere else. Where the fact was, you are playing with the best players that guys are getting open like you've never seen before. Guys are moving the puck like you've never seen before. Guys are hitting the spots. It is. And for me, the type of game I had, where I used my head and I was passing, it was kind of like, oh my god! And I was the last cut at 18 years old. I should have made it that year. I'm still bitter about that. But going into the next year, I knew that I was going to play in the NHL next year. Nothing was going to stop me. I had to move to Jersey about 9 weeks before training camp. I never worked out like that in my life. And I got to meet the great Vladimir Bure. He mined communist Russian, tricked me like just. I turned into a robot. I turned into a robot that summer because Vladdy just there was no holds bar. His sons were superstars in the league. He was an Olympic swimmer, so there was just no holding back. And I knew at that moment I was going to play in the NHL. And then finally it came down to like me and this last guy, and yeah, it was between me and this guy. We were actually pretty buddies, and we got to know each other during camp. And then I came the next morning, and his jersey was gone, mine was there, and it was the last exhibition game. And then our first game was in Atlanta, and I figured, wow, I guess I made it.
You made it. So that year was pretty amazing. I think you were rookie of the year. You've won some, a couple Stanley Cups. You've been on the Olympic team. Give me one of your favorite memories as a professional hockey player.
I just think, I think that your whole rookie year, yeah, that the way it happened, the way things, that never, it was it was fantasy, but just everything about it, it's all new. You're traveling on private planes now. You're staying at these hotels that you've only seen in movies. Your family and your friends get to enjoy it. You're playing in road cities. You're traveling as a professional athlete. It's you're going to your job is go to practice every day. In the beginning, it was boring because you're with grown men. They didn't have any time for a kid until you get to be part of the spot. And that whole year, just becoming a professional hockey player is something that especially the year we had winning the Stanley Cup, rookie of the year, but just the excitement that nothing will ever match that, being a professional athlete for the first time. And like I said, getting able to share it with win the Stanley Cup, getting to share it with the whole state of Alaska, Anchorage, and all that. It was a fantasy for all of us, all the people, all my friends, everyone that was part of the ride. We made sure that I made sure that, hey, all my buddies in there, that we sure enjoyed it. I'll tell you that. It was but that whole first year was something so cool. Just being an NHL hockey player.
Yeah, talk about one of the coolest first years of an NHL player, man. I bet that was fun every single day. I bet was fun to live out. So Now you coach. What made you want to keep at it? Because I think, a lot of people could go do their professional career, have you had a solid professional career, call it good, go into finance or go into, whatever it is. You decided um, to keep going and to coach and to kind of give back to the community in a lot of ways for the younger generation coming up. What made you want to go into coaching?
Well, I always give the advice: don't retire to anyone, because it's not what it's cracked up to be. I was basically doing nothing. I mean, I did the TV gig for a year. I didn't really enjoy that. It was, people telling you what to say and how to say it, and, not being able to be yourself. Good little, I didn't really enjoy that. I got into coaching with I was assistant coach with the New York Islanders for a couple of years there, but I really didn't do anything. I kind of was the young guy on the staff, and it just, and then I wasn't really doing anything. I was just golfing, living out in New York City, golfing every day, just kind of not contributing much. And my parents, my business manager and stuff, my business manager especially, they were like, he's like, hey, you're gonna do something. Like, you got to do something. I don't care what it is. Yeah, I don't care if you go volunteer, coach somewhere. You're doing something, and that's kind of how it happened. I called my old junior club. Yeah, I was assistant coach last year, and then the head coach, he was moving on, and I figured, I talked to my dad for a long time and some other people, and I hated most of the coaches I had growing up, and I always had some sort of complaint. So, like my dad said, it's time you put yourself in the ring of fire and see how good you are and see if you like it. And yeah, and so I did it, and it's been the time of my life. I mean, give back, be with these kids. I got a great staff. One of my close friends from Boston, Massachusetts, Mike Motto. He's basically the head coach with me. There's no ego. Kids know that. I mean, yeah, I'm the head coach, general manager, but you work as a team, and for him to join me doing this, it's been unreal. But to just give back and the knowledge. I mean, like I told these kids, you know, it's once we get on the ice, I only know one way, and
Yeah.
this is a job for us. But often off the ice, hey, it's supposed to be enjoyable, man. That's why hockey's fun. I mean, you got to have fun doing this. They got to realize that. But there's discipline, and care for them. Probably care for them more off the ice than on the ice. I was raised, like I said, by Lou Lamoriello with the New Jersey Devils, and I mean, if you came into our locker room right now, you wouldn't believe how spotless it is, and details of everything. Guys get fined if their dressing room, locker room's not to the standard you want. Those are little things that you'll learn later on in life that it's bad right now, but even me and Mott's, because we played for the Devils, you do realize, like, wow, that was the discipline we had. There was a reason why we won. There was a reason why it was just different, and I think that's the best thing for these kids.
So, last question to you is this. I appreciate you joining us. What's some advice you give to folks, maybe kids that are playing hockey right now? Um, you've been there, done that. You've risen up through the ranks through hard work, dedication, determination. What kind of advice would you give the 12-year-old that's out on ice,
I think
having a dream?
I think the advice goes more to the parents. Um, let them be. If it's not there, it's not there. I mean, a lot of these parents have they have higher expectations than their kids, and they're the reason why a lot of these kids are getting burned out. Because as a parent, you do have to, like, pull the reins back. Just because little Johnny over there skates 12 months a year, and that's the excuse he's going to get better. No, because those are usually the kids that get burned out. And me seeing it, going through it now, I'm dealing with parents. I mean, and advisors and stuff. It's, hey, especially at this level, if it ain't there yet, it ain't going to happen. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the game. Not everyone gets to play D1. Not everyone gets to go to the NHL, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's still a great game. There's still people there's other opportunities. I mean, you don't have to go to a D1 powerhouse. You can go to a D3 or even a club hockey team. You're getting an education all of a sudden. I mean, still, but a lot of these kids that just they have the pressure, and that's one thing that people are shocked, and I can't, when I tell them that, and I tell these parents and these kids right away, and the advisors, like, I didn't know what pressure was when it came to hockey. I didn't have it. I don't know what kind of, I don't know what that is to like be a kid and have your parents, you know, on you. You got to play this way. You got to do this. Nope, I didn't have that. I didn't have my parents. I had two rules. I had to work hard and I had to have fun. I never got. I got yelled at probably twice by my dad in hockey, and that's one. I don't think I passed the puck the whole game, and he didn't like that. And I forgot the other, but so I don't know what that feels like to have any pressure at home. My dad was my baseball coach. Child services should have came to practice there and then because baseball was our thing. But yeah, if I didn't, that was our sport. That was my dad's my coach. But as far as hockey, no, I didn't. So a lot of people they don't understand that I don't understand what it's like, what it would ever be like to have pressure from my parents. I couldn't even imagine going home and eating dinner and knowing that your mom and dad is mad at you because you didn't play this way or no, I didn't have that. So with these kids today, I think it's just, if it's there, it's there. You'll love it. I mean, like I said, it was a drug. It was teachers told my parents that I was a weird kid, because all he dreams and talks about is hockey. This is not normal. And meanwhile, my parents don't know what to do because, well, he's not a bad kid. He's not doing anything bad. So let him be, no one understood it. But, and then you have some of your great mentors and, school teachers that understood that maybe I wasn't the best at school, but they knew the dedication and like the drive I had for someone. And you just had to explain it to me different. But yeah, with these kids today, it's, if you want to get better, you know how to get better. It's just work. It's just do it every day. I mean, these kids, like I said, practice on the stuff you're not good at. And, just doing the stuff you're good at every day. I mean, that's the difference. And, if you really want it, you'll know. I mean, you'll outwork everyone. You will. When kids are doing stuff, you'll be out, especially in Alaska. I mean, you'll be outside skating more than anyone. The love of it. I mean, it wasn't work. It was just love.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you joining us, Scotty Gomez. For folks listening in, if you just caught the tail and you're going to want to go back and listen to the whole episode. Scotty Gomez talks about his career, some favorite moments that he's had, and it's worth the while to listen. So we're welcome back anytime, Scotty Gomez, to the Must Read Alaska show. For folks that listen, watch, or read, you want to help keep the lights on, just go to mustreadalaska.com. On the right-hand side, there's a little donate button. If you want to sponsor the Must Read Alaska show, just email me, John, JOHN, at mustreadalaska.com. Until next time, I'm John Quick from somewhere in Alaska. Thanks, Scotty.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.